How's everybody doing? It's Erin.
And Nicole. This is Dude That's Fucked Up, the podcast.
Hi.
Hi. It's a podcast.
Woof. It simultaneously, like, that was like the most vocal fry, and also it sounded like you were pooping at the same time. So it was like,
well, I did just poop because I had diarrhea, but.
Oh, cool. Hi. Welcome, new listeners.
I don't know. Look, people get diarrhea, okay? You want me to censor myself?
Yeah. I mean, this is a human being. Human beings you're talking to.
A human
or
being.
I guess you're not talking to us. Yeah, I don't fucking know. Who cares?
Yeah, who's talking?
Anyway.
Yeah, who's talking?
Yeah. What's up? How is everybody? I hope you're doing okay.
Real free.
What?
I hope everyone's real free. Diarrhea free.
Oh. It's like real free. What is
Rhea free.
Rhea free. Oh.
But you know when you're feeling like diarrhea.
For real.
Dire for real.
Oh God. Okay. Well.
Okay.
Moving on. I hope everybody has solid everything right now. Like your life is solid, your shit is solid, like everything's good. Well, we got a very creepy show for you.
Oh, it's creepy.
So creepy. It really is creepy, I think.
It is, yeah, for a lot of reasons.
But before we get to that,
do
we have any business?
Biz. Okay. I think we should say, hot off the presses, we now have a Patreon-only Discord. So it's Patreon exclusive. If you've been thinking
exclusive.
If you've been thinking about joining Patreon, but you're like, I don't know, listen, now we have an extra offering for you in addition to the extra content that we produce every month. Not weekly. That would be so much work.
Also, you guys would be like, God, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. We've heard enough.
Calm down. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we pay you to shut the fuck up?
Yeah. I bet somebody would.
We could just start advertising on like Joe Rogan's podcast to like pay us to shut up. I feel like that would be like a very subversive and successful campaign.
Yeah, but like very anti what we're everything.
Yeah.
Stand for. So
totally, we could donate the money or something. We're not going to do that.
But also,
anyway,
getting idiots to give me like money would be very cool. I don't know.
Like, yeah, just oh God,
like Joe Rogan adherents. Yeah. Fuck you.
I know.
Give me money.
Joe Rogan sucks. I almost wore my T-shirt that says Joe Rogan sucks, but you can't see it anyway. So. But
anyway.
Okay, we have a Discord.
We'll cut all that out.
Yeah. No. It's very funny.
Okay.
We just leave it in. We don't care. But we do have a Discord, and if we're going to cut anything out, it's the diarrhea stuff. Okay. We have a Discord. But really, it's none of it.
We're leaving it all.
Yeah, we're leaving it all. Okay. TBD. Okay. But really, let me just quiet my phone because our Discord's really blowing up right now, and I have I haven't like fine-tuned it to anyway, it's already very active and fun. It's a community. If you're a patron of the podcast, not only do you get additional content every month, but you get access to the Discord, which is basically like, if you're familiar with Slack, it's like that. It's a lot of just like text channels. It's kind of like a bunch of group chats, and they're organized by like topics, and there's audio chats that you can potentially join down the road. Once we figured out how to like what to offer, I guess.
Yeah, like how to get the most out of the platform. It's like it's there's lots of possibilities for getting more active on there, I think. So but so far very fun. We have like a channel with like that's specifically for posting pictures of your pets and babies and stuff and
selfies and maybe like what you're eating, whatever. It's just like for pictures and hanging out.
Yeah.
And we have a channel for like the podcast each week. We have a channel for just general stuff. We have a channel for like things that are on your mind that have to do with like cults and crimes and like it's just a whole lot of fun. So definitely if you've been on the fence, that's an additional benefit to you. So maybe check that out. Also, I did want to say for the other biz, just wanted to make sure to thank the listener who pitched us today's topic, because that was a listener topic from our Facebook group. Like when you come into the Facebook group, you have to answer questions so we know you're not a creepy weirdo. And
I mean, you could be a creepy weirdo and still answer the questions, and we'll still love you. But like,
we're making sure you're the right type of creepy weirdo that that like vibes with us, and that you're not like an incel creepy weirdo, or like you know what, like just like one that's like anti everything that we stand for. So today's topic, donated by someone.
Brought to you by a DTFU listener.
Yeah, brought to you by the DTFU Facebook group. It's very fun. Come and join it.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to shout out, I think Skull and Bones, the Skull and Boner episode we did was also a listener suggestion. And multiple people have actually asked for secret societies. So just want to let everyone know again, we take your comments and your emails that where you're pitching us. Like we take those seriously. We added them into our business Slack and we keep track of all of them. And then as like each week we're like, or you know, we're planning for content. We're like, what have we done in a while? And then we look back and that's how we decide.
A lot of our ideas from our listeners. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because, you know, we have original ideas for things that we want to do a lot, but like also we just are like, what do the people want? You know, what do the people really want us to talk about? So
it's cults mostly.
Yeah.
And cryptids. Yeah. Also, I'm just going to say, patreon.com/DTFU podcast to edit in before where we talked about it. Okay.
Yeah. That's important. Great. Love that biz. That's great biz.
Yeah, great biz.
Do we have anything fucked up this week?
I do, but mine's kind of a segue into the topic. If you have something fucked up.
I don't. I'm smooth sailing this week. So
okay.
I want to hear yours.
Okay, well, mine is fucked up because it's specific to a current show that's really fucked up. It just had its finale. But if you're watching Yellowjackets, which is a show on Showtime with Melanie Linsky, Juliette Lewis, Christina Ricci, it's very good. And some other great actors that I don't know their real names, but the acting is superb. If you're watching that, and I wrote in the notes, AKA, so it's called Yellowjackets, AKA Cannibal City Population High School Girls Soccer Team, which will be relevant in a second. Please check out the podcast Blood Hive. I was just a guest on the 3rd episode. It's a recap podcast of the show. It was so funny. I was on obviously with the host and then another comedian who like they both have so many credits with like comedy and writing, and like I felt very inadequate, but I still was like, let me insert myself and ask the hard-hitting questions, which were obviously about people eating people.
Obviously people eating people.
Yeah. And
like what part of the people would you eat? You know, like those are very important questions.
I legit was like, I don't know if y'all know this, and I'm assuming you don't, but how long until like people meat goes bad? Like, let's say we all were in a car or like
what's the Best Buy date on a human calf? Like,
yeah. And the host kept calling it girl jerky, and I died.
Oh, God damn it!
I know.
That's also another name for my labia. So.
I know. I wanted to be like,
yeah, you did say that.
Yeah. Like, I said it to you, but I was like, I don't want to say it to them. Like, is it shaming women and their bodies if I say
if you say it's your name for your labia?
Yes. Okay.
Then, you know.
That's what I was thinking of.
Well, I stole your joke. Fuck me. Oh my God.
No, it's great. No, you didn't. It is a labia. There's no other way. I'm sure they talked about it like on previous episodes because she'd already recorded a few at that point, and yeah, it's so funny. Anyway,
oh my God,
check it out.
Everybody listen to that. What
it's
is it
called
called
Blood
again?
Hive.
And it's the 3rd episode of Blood Hive.
And I was the guest on the 3rd episode. Yeah. So, and it was so funny and so fun. And like, I think we talked for 2 hours. It flew by. Anyway, we talk about the show in depth. So if you haven't watched it yet and you don't want spoilers, wait to listen. But if you are already past episode 3 of this show, Yellowjackets, it's so great. P.S. Huge plug for that show because it is 90s nostalgia and it is everything. So
I need to watch it. I don't have Showtime though, so I have literally every single streaming, like everything except for Showtime for some reason.
You could probably rent them individually or something.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, because I remember when the promo for that came out, I was like, "This is the show that was made for me, so I must watch it."
It is made for us, 1,000%. It is,
especially since I played high school soccer and.
Yes, I know. I thought of you when I first started watching it.
Not into cannibalism in high school, but I was like a weirdo. So,
but who's to say if you wouldn't have been if the circumstances called for it? And that's what we're doing here today, right?
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's right. Today we have a cannibal adjacent topic. Very good segue from Yellowjackets and people eating people. People eating people. We're talking about a creature, somewhat a creature today, I guess. It's mythology, it's folklore, it's scary. We're talking about a Wendigo, or Wendigo, as some people pronounce it.
Oh, Wendigo.
Wendigo.
A Wendigo sounds like a resort in the Bahamas. Like, da, 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 da. Come down to the Bahamas and enjoy the Windigo Resort.
Yeah. Windigo, where all of your dreams come true.
Windigo, well, I get adults only.
Yeah.
Vacation resort.
Fuck sandals.
Windigo, an all access, all hours buffet of people. No, we'll get into that.
Well, yeah, this is a mythological creature or evil spirit, or it could even be a concept that originates from folklore of First Nations people based in and around the East Coast and forests of Canada, the Great Plains region of the United States, and the Great Lakes region of the United States and Canada. It's the Algonquian family languages First People. Like that's like all the tribes that are like in that area. They're these tribes use like the same name and have like the same kind of loosely connected folklore around this creature.
Okay.
They have different pronunciations for it, but it's like generally the same like folklore of the Wendigo or the Wendigo. Okay. And it's often said to be a malevolent spirit, which is sometimes depicted as a creature with human-like characteristics, which possesses human beings, which is very creepy. It's also known to invoke feelings, and this is where we get into cannibalism, of insatiable greed and or hunger, like greed in the conceptual sense, but also hunger in the literal sense. As well as the desire to cannibalize other humans, as well as the propensity to commit murder in those that fall under its influence. Very bad spirit, very bad vibes.
I feel like murder's a given if you're cannibalizing others.
Unless you're just like waiting for somebody to like
to die and
or
then
something.
Eat them.
Yeah.
Or you eat them alive.
Like a zombie kind of situation.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a lot of work.
Well, that's kind of what this reminds me of, because there are some stories which we'll talk about later. There's one specifically that I'm thinking of where it's the way that it sounds like it went is like people were like grabbing others and just biting and eating them. Like it's very scary. Like,
oh my God.
So like this, like people believe this is happening to them when they're going through something.
Yeah.
Like there is like documented like I guess examples of this possession by a Wendigo, which I don't know if we'll get to that, but it's creepy as fuck either way. So another kind of way that it's explained in folklore is that it's just like playing the role of a boogeyman or a monster, like in general, kind of like a I don't know, like a troll, but not, I don't know, like worse. Almost like in stories, it's just like a generalized like monster or boogeyman.
Oh yes, I see. Okay, it's like the generic brand of boogeyman.
Yeah, but also as a concept, it's like also it could also possess you, like like I guess if you want to think of it in the Catholic sense. I don't know.
Yes. What are those things in Harry Potter?
A Dementor?
A Dementor, yeah. Like kind of like they just come in and take hold.
Yeah, but they like suck your soul and just make you feel like depressed and terrible and eventually kill you.
I'd feel depressed and terrible if I was eating people, so.
True. Yeah. Or maybe you'd be psyched. I don't know.
Or maybe, yeah. Maybe it like, maybe that's the like benefit of the Wendigo. It like makes you feel good about it. You know, it's like you feel super hyped up and you're just like happy that that's the trade-off. It's like, you're going to eat people, but you're going to feel great. Like the best you've ever felt.
You're just singing Hungry Like the Wolf, like everywhere you go. And I'm hungry like the wolf, Wendigo. I don't know.
I'd be like, oh, she's a man-eater. Oh, here she comes.
Here she comes. I mean, you could have a playlist for this if you want.
We should make one, honestly.
I'll make one.
Okay, yeah. Erin's going to make
the Wendigo playlist.
Yeah, the Wendigo playlist. I love it. It's going to fucking bop, dude.
Maneater. So many bops about eating people.
What's the Shakira one about the wolf?
Ow!
She's a she-wolf.
Yeah. It's funny because with the Wendigo, this was already like an established folklore of the tribes in this area, like in the Great Lakes area, the Algonquian like family of languages of tribes, for very obviously long time. But when Europeans came, obviously like they're like, oh, what the fuck's going on here? And that's like they kind of muddled up that the Wendigo folklore with their idea of the werewolf. So there is some like kind of overlapping, you know.
Okay, I was curious because when you look at depictions like of the Wendigo, they run the gamut. There's like different variations of it, and I was like, I don't know which one of these is right.
Yeah, well, there is it. I guess it is supposed to look like, well, just to finish up the last kind of like the cultural description of it is like in Chippewa mythology, people who commit sins, like sins in the sense of just like a cultural taboo, not like again in the Catholic sense, but like selfishness, gluttony, or cannibalism, they're turned into a Wendigo as punishment. So like they kind of get zombified or like ostracized and then turned into this like other like inhuman kind of creature.
Any sins?
Well, really bad ones, I guess, like where they're like, you know, murder or
selfish. Though, man, we'd have a lot of Wendigos.
Well, if you think about it, in a community-based, you know, kind of, you know, culture where it's like everybody's, you know, everything that you do is like for the benefit of each other, like that is a very ultimate sin because you're ultimately taking away from everybody else.
True.
If you are selfish. Like we have a very different idea of what selfishness means and like how bad it is because of our like individualistic, you know, American values in society.
Yeah, that's true.
But if your selfishness can literally lead to like a life or death situation for members of your community, then, and that's like the built-in fucking value system, then it's really bad.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair.
Anyway, yeah, it is like very much based though in like these, like the idea of like it being covered in ice or its heart being made of ice, and then like the chill coming, and you know, it's all very much like comes from a very cold place, literally. So
yeah.
And in a lot of like Hollywood or pop culture representations kind of make it like a human beast hybrid with antlers or horns. But that is not how it's depicted or described in indigenous stories.
Okay, that's what I saw, where it has horns and stuff. But that's something Hollywood's done. Okay.
Yeah. And then in a few of the legends, a human has been successfully rescued from the heart of the Wendigo, but usually, like I said, once the person has been possessed by the either the spirit or the being, the only escape is death. So, yeah.
Do Wendigos eat people?
I mean, I guess you could say that it eats your soul.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
It's very scary. My first introduction to a Wendigo was in this book here.
Oh.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. There is
by Alvin Schwartz.
Yep, by Alvin Schwartz. Drawings by Stephen Gamble. The scariest fucking shits you've ever seen.
Oh my god.
And there's a story called The Wendigo.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's very creepy. Like there's
I remember that.
And it's about a hunter who takes like a Native American or a Native American guide out with him to hunt, and his guide gets taken by the Wendigo in the middle of the night.
Whoa.
And the end of it is very creepy. It says, I'm just going to read it real quick.
Okay.
A few days later, the hunter was at the trading post again. An Indian came in and sat by the fire. He had a blanket wrapped around him, and he wore his hat so that you couldn't see his face. The hunter thought there was something familiar about him. He walked over and he asked, "Are you DeFago?" The Indian didn't answer. "Do you know anything about him?" No answer. He began to wonder if something was wrong, if the man needed help, but he couldn't see his face. "Are you all right?" he asked. No answer. To get a look at him, he lifted the Indian's hat. Then he screamed. There was nothing under the hat but a pile of ashes. Ah! That was the end of the story. But like that shit was just like, I just remember reading that when I was a kid and being like, well, something's going to carry me off in the middle of the night when I go camping next time. So
yeah,
cool.
So I'm not going to go camping.
Well, I always did, and I was always scared of a Wendigo when I was a little kid.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. well, so this shit, obviously, I don't, real or not, there are people who have been diagnosed with what's called Windigo Psychosis.
Oh my gosh. This is the fascinating part to me, because this is where like the supernatural somehow skirts into science adjacent. Like it could be a real thing, it could not be a real thing. There's lots of studies about it and lots of papers written about it, but it's interesting to me how it like bridges the gap.
Exactly, because I mean, just like with anything where your brain is somehow, I don't know, like it reminds me so much of our episode we did on sleep paralysis.
Oh.
Where like a big theme with sleep paralysis is people seeing like the like dark figure in the room or at the edge of their bed, or like feeling, having like audible hallucinations and like, just hallucinations in general.
Yeah.
And it's so real because your brain is like in this state where you don't know, like it's awake but not awake. It's in this in between. So what you're experiencing, with your own eyes what you think you're experiencing with your own eyes is very real to you. So who's to say what's real and what's not? You know what I mean? When your brain is like giving you all the signals that you, I don't know.
Well, in that case, the brain has, like, the brain and the body are out of sync. So that's what's so scary, you know, because it's like you're seeing something, but you also can't move and it's hard. Like your chest feels heavy and like it's just like they're in two different kind of time zones, your brain and your body.
But you don't know that at the time.
But you don't know that. You don't know that. Yeah.
So it's like and then only later, like once you're kind of like coming out of it, do you realize, okay, that was maybe sleep paralysis or maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So this is kind of in that same vein, I think, where people who experience that, it's just like your brain is so powerful. Who is to say, like, there is no real or not real, because if your brain is like giving you this experience, like that's just what it is, you know?
Okay, it's making me think of those like mega churches where they like like the pastor or whatever will come over and touch people on the forehead and they'll like faint.
Mm-hmm. That's like
people are like in some form of hysteria where they
or like a trance or something. Yeah.
Like they've worked themselves up. Like there's this fucking man is not controlling.
He is not channeling God through, you know, his body. No.
Yeah, but the people believe it, and they've like worked themselves up into a situation where they so believe it that like they will.
But it's like he is controlling that. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's fucked up. But it's not what they think it is.
Exactly. So.
Oh my God, that's true.
So it's the same. I don't know. It's like, who's to say and who cares, because the person experiencing it is experiencing it. So.
Yeah. Well, you got to care when people start eating people.
That's true. So well, you're going to care one way or another. I mean, I'll tell you that right now.
You're going to care if you're about to be eaten by people.
Well, so this is like a thing that in psychology, like this is like a thing that happens, I guess. In modern psychiatry, the Wendigo lends its name to a form of psychosis known as Windigo Psychosis.
Nailed the name.
Thank you. Yeah, which is Wendigo.
No, not you. I mean, it's like Wendigo lends its name to a form of psychosis. Wendigo Psychosis.
Thank you. Yes. I could not have guessed. Yeah. It's characterized by symptoms such as an intense craving for human flesh and an intense fear of becoming a cannibal, which is usually prompted by prior famine cannibalism, but not exclusively. Like that, fuck, dude, that's some fucking gnarly if you've been in a situation where that is a previously experienced scenario on your part, you know?
Oh my God. Honestly, this is Yellowjackets.
Yeah, totally. So it's Windigo Psychosis is described as a culture-bound syndrome, which it's in medicine and anthropology, it's like a culture-specific situation or like a folk illness. Like there's you know, certain places in the world that are more secluded where like an entire town will have this thing happen that like nobody could really explain.
Like it's culturally significant. Like in this case, it's very like tribal in terms of like certain regions of the continent. But it could easily have just been something like Ireland or some, like they could have their own cultural psychosis or
right, like it, especially like if there's been famine and cannibalism has been a thing that people have resorted to, that like it becomes a possibility that people see, you know, or they've experienced, like watched people do it, and you know what I mean, and but not necessarily taking part themselves, but they've experienced this shit and they've seen it with their own eyes, and they've watched a person succumb to this, you know, taboo. That's very traumatizing. So, yeah, it's really fucked up. But so this specifically, the Windigo psychosis, it falls in this category of a culture bound syndrome. And that, I mean, again, going back to like the area that this is prevalent in, where Wendigo folklore is from, it's very cold. People get snowbound all the time, and starvation was a very real thing, and still can be in certain rural places. So it's a folk illness, like I was saying, is a combination of psychiatric and somatic symptoms that are considered to be a recognizable disease only within a specific society or culture. So like that's what the definition of it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, well, I feel like this community at the time when this was something that was like probably, I'm going to say like quote unquote more prominent, but I don't think this was ever like super prominent or anything. But at a time when there wasn't a lot of like out group socializing. It was all like very in group, like these people, like indigenous people, were in their own tribes and on their own land and stuff. There wasn't a lot of like, you know, like melding yet with other people's cultures and stuff.
If there was, I mean, so they were all very related, like the Algonquian, like speaking like language speaking
people.
Tribes.
Yeah.
They're all like somewhat related. I mean, there's like the Potawatomi, the Chippewa, the God, there's so many tribes. There's so many, but they're all related somehow. But in the winter specifically, they would get cut off from each other. So this is why community is so important, and why the concept of, you know, being selfish, being gluttonous, being, you know, whatever these like quote unquote worst sins were that people associated with Wendigo possession were so fucking important. Because if you weren't doing your part in a society where you literally, like I was saying, like anything that you did that was selfish or like fucked up to the rest of the group, it was going to cause a life or death situation. So is, if you were caught out doing something like this, you were like, it's almost like a like an out in some ways, like, oh, it's not you, it's the Wendigo kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So
interesting. Well, I guess I meant more like maybe they all have a shared culture because of the language that they all share, but like as settlers were coming in, it wasn't catching. Like this isn't something that was like that the Algonquian people were like, oh no, and there's this thing, and then like white people, I guess, were like, we haven't heard of that, we haven't experienced that. You know what I mean? Like they weren't seeing that it didn't exist in other communities, and other communities weren't catching it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, there is an instance of this happening with an outside group though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This whole like idea of a culture bound syndrome is like a real thing though, and it's included in the 4th version of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the Bible basically of mental disorders. So, and it's very real to these cultures, these groups in native cultures. So who the fuck is to say that it's not a thing? If somebody's saying
it's happening in a culture,
I'm afraid that I'm going to eat someone, you say, okay. Like, all right, I believe you. Like, let's not, I don't want that to happen either. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, this all goes back to probably previous trauma of experiencing a situation where you're in a famine and people are cannibalizing, or you've experienced it yourself, or you've seen somebody do it. Right. So that's trauma. That's real.
Yeah.
So some First Nation communities think that symptoms such as insatiable greed and destruction of the environment are also thought to be symptoms of of Windigo psychosis. So like as a concept itself, not like a physical like manifestation of like wanting to eat people, just like the turning of a person who is
those are the early signs.
Yeah. Or who's just like a normal person becoming like very greedy and being like, I don't give a fuck about the environment anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. But then it's like a slippery slope, because then it's like, well, when are they going to start eating people? Like, what do we need to talk to Jim?
Because I mean, that's always inevitably where people land with ultra wealthy people, is that they eat children,
Oh, interesting.
Think about that.
Yeah. They at least use their body as a blood bag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They at least like take their youth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess... Okay, so you'll tell us a little bit about a case that maybe wasn't within Native people, but the most prominent cases, at least like the two cases that I saw cited the most as examples of Windigo Psychosis, were within indigenous communities.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one was during the Alberta, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
The winter of 1878, and an indigenous trapper named Swift Runner and his family were starving. It was a very harsh winter, specifically for the Plains Cree people, and that was the people that Swift Runner and his family were a part of.
Mm-hmm.
It was fucking brutal. Like, it wasn't just his family that was reaching starvation. It was like a lot of the community.
Yeah.
And
think of like the Donner Party or
Donner
something.
Party. Yeah, that's exactly.
You just are cut off from everything. Yep.
Yes. Like, and so sad, and they're like trying to hunt and stuff, but animals are hibernating. Like, everything's just fucked up. And so sadly, the eldest member of the family succumbed to starvation. This is where I'm unclear. I couldn't find this answer. I don't know if the family ate him to survive. But it is clear that what happened next happened, which is Swift Runner killed and ate his wife and their remaining 5 children.
Yeah, and people realized this when he came into town and he was like, my whole family's dead. They died of starvation. And he was obviously
fat and happy.
Yeah. He was like...
They're like, have you put on weight?
Yeah. They're like,
it's the middle of a fucking snowstorm.
Yeah. And they're like, wait, you look great. Like, where's your wife and kids? And he's like, oh, yeah, they died from starvation. And they're like, well, what? Yeah.
And like, it wasn't really just a survival thing, because here's a big fucked up reveal. Him and his family only lived 25 miles from an outpost, which, as a bird flies or whatever, that's not that far. But in the middle of fucking Canadian wilderness in the winter, I feel like that's far. But like,
that's very far. That's...
I guess the argument is like, you could make it there in a couple days or whatever, and like there's food. There was
not in like fucking knee deep snow.
Who knows? That's what this is what all the things say. Like, they were only 25 miles, and it's like, I don't know. That seems like
a fucking
far.
Car. I know. They didn't have a fucking like.
They probably
Chevy
had to
Tahoe.
eat their horses or whatever. Like, if they had any animals, they'd already eaten them.
Yeah, so, like they were snowed the fuck in, and they weren't running to fucking Ralph's or something here. like come on.
I know. Well,
but still, you shouldn't eat your wife and kids if that's the case. Like, come on, man.
We should just I just really want to clear the air and make very clear. Still not acceptable to eat your wife and all your children.
God.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah, they weren't, and they didn't just die of starvation.
No, he killed them.
He murdered them.
Yeah, he murdered them with an axe and, in some cases, I think, a gun.
Oof.
Yeah. So he obviously, like you said, the people at the outpost were like, you're looking a little rounder in the face. And he was like, oh yeah, I ate my family. And then he was arrested and executed in Fort Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another well-known case. This one also very interesting for different reasons, but still of a similar well, no, different. Okay. This other case is that of Jack Fiddler. And Jack, who was also known as Zuano Zizigu Gabal, I think. Oh my God, who knows? But his name meant he who stands in the southern sky. He was a shaman of the OG Cree people, and which is another indigenous population in Canada, like related. They're all related by the Algonquian, language, and they're nearby, but just kind of different regions. Okay, so Jack Fiddler, because that's way easier to say. Sorry.
For white people, yeah.
For white people, yeah. I'm a white lady. I tried though, Yeah. Hopefully that counts. We don't know. Okay. Like his father before him, Jack was known for his ability to communicate with and expel Wendigos.
Yeah, he was like an exorcist.
Yeah. He's a magic man.
Yeah. But he was around him too much, I think.
He might have been around him too much. This is where it gets a little hairy, because in some cases, like maybe expelling a Wendigo was preventative, as with Jack's brother, Peter Flett, who resorted to cannibalism after an expedition when he had run out of food. So like he comes back, Jack's like, where's the rest of the party? He's like, in my belly.
Oh.
And they're like, you can't eat people. Go. Yeah. Because you got to taste for it. This is the thing. Mm-hmm. This is what they believe. It's like, once you get a taste for it, that's all you want, And so they're like, no, this is it's preventative. We got to make sure this doesn't happen. So they killed him. And then,
that was like the only way, like they thought.
That was the only way. Yeah. They're like, he ate people to survive. We got to kill him. Maybe it's fucked up. Maybe it's not. Who's to say? But that means like the Alive expedition or whatever, the Alive story. Like we should kill the people that came back because they ate people. Now they have a taste for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair. They have trauma.
Yeah. Maybe like you just eat some bacon and to like,
yeah.
And honestly though, this was like just to sidetrack you, but what they would do, like sometimes if people were like, I am becoming a cannibal, I know it, I'm scared.
Yeah.
They would like make people drink like animal fat and feed them like the fattiest parts of animals, like
Ew.
Just plying them with bacon, basically.
To gross them out so they become vegan, probably, because that is disgusting.
Well, just to like to satiate their like, their urges, but
their fleshy urges.
Yeah.
Well, in other
They're like, yeah, it's human. It's human bacon.
Yeah, this is human fat. Why does it have chunks of bacon in it? That's human bacon.
No.
That's girl jerky.
Yeah, that's girl jerky. You're fine. That's good. USDA, grade A, girl jerky.
USDV for vagina.
No. Bitch.
For vulva. Whatever. USD.
F for flaps. I don't know.
It's
grade F for flaps.
USD flaps.
There was a flaps joke in a British baking show.
There was?
Yeah, like alluding to flaps as as
I think maybe I saw it the most recent season.
I was dying.
Oh my God. Ugh. That's got to be. I'm going to look for the clip after this.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So in other cases, people, like you said earlier, were just worried about their own feelings about wanting to nom some humans, or like their family members. If their family members were sick, they were like, oh my God, are they going to eat people next? And so it's noted that in some of these situations, Jack Fiddler, he quote unquote euthanized these people.
Oof.
Yeah. But it's a bit of a gray area for me. It's like, did these people, like, were they looking for more of an exorcism? And they're like, please, can you help me? Like, I feel like I want to eat people, and they're looking for actual help, and then he like euthanizes them. Or were they like, can you kill me? I want to eat people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. But also, okay, this is also a little sus though too, because it's like, if families can come to Jack Fiddler and just be like, I think my sister wants to eat people, and it's like, do you just hate your sister? You're not getting along. It's like some sister bullshit, and then they're like, well, we better kill her. Like, it's like this. It's a whole fucked up thing.
Yeah, very slippery slope.
Very slippery slope, and I don't like it. Either way. In 1907, Fiddler and his brother, a different brother, Joseph, who I think worked with Jack in like basically, euthanizing people, they were arrested by the Canadian authorities for murder.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Jack died by suicide before the trial, and then Joseph was tried and he was sentenced to life in prison, and ultimately he was granted a pardon, but because the news took so long to get to him, he like died in the 3 days it took to like send news of the pardon to where he was being held. He died by suicide.
Oh, God, that's sad.
So
what a
sad.
Terrible, tragic story.
Very tragic. This there's an even more an even more tragic thing, I think, or just something that like was very interesting to me, because this is fascinating for a completely different reason. Like, this is all very interesting, but so prior to the arrests of Jack and Joseph, the Plains Cree people and a lot of First Nation people in Canada were not ruled by Canadian law. They were, First Nations were living and operating in their own laws and customs. This was one of the first.
They were sovereign people.
They were sovereign people. Yeah. It was kind of like, we're all living here together, but we'll do this over here, you do that over there. This was one of the first times that the Canadian law was enforced on First people. And
wow.
Yeah.
Is that why the pardon was eventually granted?
I would think so, because you could prove that it was related to their beliefs, and maybe they were like, let's pardon him, we got to talk about this, like let's talk about what we should do moving forward, because maybe we shouldn't be killing people, but we need to find out more, like, we don't know.
Wow.
So, but this was just such a very clear example to me of like, obviously white people infringing on like, it's just another example of like white people kind of pushing their way in and being like, well, I know you lived here first and this is your land, but we've decided, and you know, not to say who's right or who's wrong, but just that it's like
there's a gray area here of where like what's the right thing to do, because like that's wild.
It's wild.
Oh man. Well, there's an even older precedent for this that was retroactively kind of grouped into this Windigo Psychosis. This was a historical account from a very long time ago that was, like I said, retroactively diagnosed as a Windigo Psychosis case. It's been reported that humans became possessed by the Wendigo spirit. It was just a bunch of French missionaries, basically, who went off the deep end, it sounds like.
Whoa.
Now, this is translated from French from a missive called the Jesuit Relations, which was a kind of like report that would be sent from the missionaries to France during the 1600s, and like during the time of this, kind of while they were like kind of getting into Canada and colonizing it and shit.
Yeah.
So in 1661, the Jesuit Relations reported, quote, and like I said, this is translated, so it might be a little muddled.
Okay.
Quote, what caused us greater concern was the news that met us upon entering the lake, namely that the men deputed by our conductor for the purpose of summoning the nations to the North Sea and assigning them a rendezvous where they were to await our coming, had met their death the previous winter in a very strange manner. Those poor men, according to the report given us. Okay, so this is Jesuit priests
arriving at this lake.
missionaries reporting this had happened, I think, to the people that they were trying to like bring, like native people they were trying to bring elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I think that's what it's saying.
Okay.
Those poor men, according to the report given us, were seized with an ailment unknown to us, but not very unusual among the people we were seeking. They were afflicted with neither lunacy, hypochondria, nor frenzy, but have a combination of all these specific species of disease, which affects their imaginations and causes them a more than canine hunger. This makes them so ravenous for human flesh that they pounce upon women, children, and even upon men like veritable werewolves and devour them voraciously without being able to appease or glut their appetite, ever seeking fresh prey, and the more greedily the more they eat. This ailment attacked our deputies, and as death is the sole remedy among those simple people for checking such acts of murder, they were slain in order to stay the course of their madness.
Oh, okay. But also, is this a story about just like how some people killed a bunch of native people and then were like, oh, it's because they wanted to eat us?
Yeah. Like maybe they heard about this like secondhand, like, oh yeah, there's like this thing that we believe, like you are that thing. And they're like, oh, what? No.
Yeah, they're like,
what if
no.
we just we just like kill you all and make up the story?
They're like, they were werewolves, so we saved humankind. Like,
but see how the werewolf like mythology is getting mixed in and muddled with this.
And now I'm very curious at the origins of werewolf mythology. Like, I wonder how old that is, you know? And like the idea of
it's very old. And we talked about it with the like our
Halloween
monster
episode,
mash
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
The other thing is like the taboo of eating people. Like, how long has that been a thing? It's been pretty much a taboo since, like, I'm gonna say modern man came about, and that's like since like societies were founded. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's been taboo for a very long time in 99% of communities.
I mean, it's like it's in anthropology, you learn like there are only a couple real like universal taboos, and it's murder and cannibalism usually.
Yeah.
Everything else is like whatever, you know, kind of. But cannibalism like has practical like it's practically shunned for reasons that like can harm us.
Yeah.
Like that disease that we that people where was it's like
I remember we did an episode on it a long time ago.
It's like what's like a laughing disease or something like
that. Yeah.
It's like there's like it's like a
there's like a brain worm or something that like
it destroys your brain and you eventually die from it because it's from eating people, and
which is to preserve the human race. I mean, that's the reason something like that exists, so that we don't eat each other and the human race is able to continue.
Yeah.
Like, that's why those things have evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
It's so interesting. And I could see. I could just see like why, people have resorted, like the people of the story Alive, that Chilean or Argentinian
the soccer team.
Yeah.
That crashed in the Andes. Yeah.
Yeah. I understand the like need to resort to cannibalism when it's like down to the wire and this is the option, you know. But I would imagine most people don't want to eat other people. You know? Like,
I mean, there's just like such an innate repulsiveness about it that it is just like on a level that we can't, it's so deeply ingrained, not just in our, like not just societally, but like deeply ingrained in our like biology, I think.
Yeah.
So, and when somebody is like actually craving human flesh, whatever that means, like how would you know if you've how could you crave something that you don't necessarily have ever had before?
Yeah.
But like that's like what you're fixated on, that's terrifying.
Well,
can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine. But it begs the question, if you did have human flesh for survival, is it something you want to eat again?
I mean, what a horrible thing.
What a horrible thing. And then all of this stuff makes sense. It's like, yeah, you better kill the people that ate the people because they might want to eat you. It's like, if it's true.
I mean, this mythology, this folklore has roots in such like intense philosophical, debates, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's so I don't know, like how do we like draw a line and like I guess you draw a line at eating people. And once you do it, it's like you become something inhuman. Basically.
You draw a line at eating people with an asterisk unless you have crashed in a plane.
Period.
I guess.
Yeah.
Period.
Or, but honestly, like I feel like back in in these previous centuries, like where you just get cut off from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
In a snowstorm, like the Donner Party, or like these little pockets of tribes in the Northeast. It's like, who the fuck knows what's happening, when people get cut off from everything, and it's survival, period.
Maybe, but I guess there are places on this planet where hunger and starvation are a real daily threat, and they're not eating people.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting. Like it just makes me wonder if these things really happened the way that they've been told, or if it was kind of like you said in the beginning, a way to like preserve the community from someone you saw as a potential threat. Whether they ate someone who died naturally because of starvation, or it was suspected that they did because the party they were with died and they somehow survived. And it was just like, we don't know what they did.
And the only remedy was to kill that person.
Yeah.
So it's like, you do this shit and this is the consequence. Like, we don't have to say that it was you, but we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
We'll say that you're possessed by the Wendigo and the only way out is to kill you.
Yeah.
We might be able to save you, but probably not. So.
Yeah. For the greater good of the people. Yeah. Do you think it existed? Like, do you think this psychosis exists or has existed?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think anything like this can exist if it's drilled into your brain from, your earliest days.
Yeah.
And you are in a very altruistic society where this is like also the backbone of like your community, and like how I think that easily it can happen. I don't know. And I don't think that's in a bad way. I think that's a good thing. It's like a fable to keep society. Like, what are our backstops? The death penalty? Like, for what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't like sit here and claim that we're like some evolved fucking society now in 2022, the year of our Lord. Like, it's all barbaric still. Like the prison system and the way that we like deal with people who have mental health issues. Like, it's like we're still not doing things on the level.
Yeah.
So,
none of those things are actually to help the people or society. All of those things are to profit off of people who have mental illness which
is even worse.
It's worse. It's so much worse. But we're just like into this point now where there's like, it's just such a mess because it's. Yeah, when you think about it, it's like we don't even have the greater good of the community as a North Star.
No, you could argue that every person at the top of the judicial system or whatever we consider, justice is a Wendigo.
Oh my God. Truly. They want to eat us because it makes them money. You know what I mean?
They're the motherfucking Death Eaters. Okay?
Oh my God. Oh yeah. I think when I was like reading some of the more prominent stories, some of it just sounds like panicky. I don't know. I just think people in crisis do like hoardery weird shit, and I think people that get the Windigo Psychosis that's maybe more modern, where it's like, I'm afraid I'm gonna eat people. No one's done anything yet, but it's like, I'm already afraid I'm gonna eat people. It's like you're working yourself up into this thing that isn't necessary. Like you said, it's like a mental health crisis. It's not an actual ailment. And they're not going to actually eat people, but I also think they could, and I think that you would be more prone to that if you thought there was a chance you might starve and you're already feeling the very painful effects of it, and you're living in these areas that are way out, very like rural, and I don't know, you might give into it potentially, but it just sounds like something that's such a small, tiny, minuscule percentage of like modern day worries. Yeah. So,
well, obviously this like Windigo Psychosis is like a phenomena has like completely nearly disappeared over like the past century.
That makes sense.
Because it's, people aren't, given this type of folklore as they're not like they're not
it's not being spread. Plus, no one wants to get canceled. You don't want to be caught eating people on TikTok or whatever, and then it's like, look at Armie Hammer.
I mean, honestly, Armie Hammer's never coming back from his cannibal. He's just
nor should he.
Living. No.
Yeah.
He's just out of here.
He's fucking been Wendigoed or whatever. Wendigoed.
You get called a cannibal and your publicist quits because of it. It's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So never coming back. Shit, man. That's all I got. Lots of crazy philosophical ideas, and also I'll probably have nightmares.
Oh my God, I won't. I don't think.
Who's to say?
Yeah, maybe if I focus on the sleep paralysis part of it.
Anyway, all right. Well,
check out our Patreon. And you could join the Discord if you become a patron, and that would be so fun. You could hang out with us online. It's our Patreon is patreon.com/DTFU podcast.
Go to all of our social medias. It's at DTFU podcast everywhere: Insta, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all over. Check it out.
Check out Blood Hive, the podcast, if you're watching Yellowjackets. And
hey,
is that it?
I think that's it.
That's it for today.
You guys stay. Don't eat people. I feel like we've said that so many times on this podcast. Please don't eat anybody.
I wouldn't think it would need to be said, but we're like, let's cover our bases.
I think we just need to, for like liability purposes.
Don't eat people.
Don't eat people. Stay excellent to yourselves
and each other.
Bye. Bye.